Hi, it's David with March Checklist in the Garden. We're already into March, and so don't forget to come to Tomato Mania till March 8th. So come in and all the great tomatoes and peppers and all of them, come in and grab them before they go out. Stay tuned to the end because I'm going to answer some of your questions. We're already into March, so March is a transition month. So we're coming out of winter, we're going to be warming up more at night, and so now start looking at the vegetables and the different perennials and the different flowers. And so it's a good time of year too, because it's the start of spring. You know, we might be a little cooler at night, but once we go more into March and April, we're going to warm up. So today the first thing I'm going to talk about is the vegetables. And so right now we're finishing up on some of the vegetables, but let me go into what we're doing right now. So right now I can still do lettuce. I'm still going to do a lot of leafy greens. So I'm doing lettuce. This is oak leaf. I'm doing oak leaf. I can do some of the Great Lakes head lettuces. And so if you have a problem with snails or slugs, because we came out of a lot of rain, I use Sluggo. Sluggo is an organic slug bait that's just iron phosphate, so it's safe for your pets and safe for your animals. It's non-methaldehyde based, so I do use Sluggo a lot for the snails and the slugs if they're really bad. So keep going with this. And so so now as we round out of more of the winter, now you could start doing your cucumbers. Like I brought up a little Persian cucumber. This is called Cusino. So I love the Persian cucumbers. You can do the snackers. You can do patio baby, all the cucumbers. I start doing them now. Strawberries. I start doing strawberries now. So this is Camarosa. It's good to get the strawberries in early because a lot of people wait too long. Strawberries are day length sensitive, so you got to get them in before you go into the lengthening days of summer. So you want a couple months. So there's Camarosa, there's Albium, there's Seascape and Chandler and Sequoia. There's a whole bunch of them. So plant them now, get them established, and you'll get better fruit, you know, so that's important with them. This one is a new one that's a white. It's more of like a little strawberry, and it has a pineapple flavor to it, so it's called White Carolina. So this is a good one. So watch for this one. This is a new one that came in. I brought up a few tomato plants. Dester. Dester is a good red tomato. Love Dester. I love chocolate sprinkles for a little grape tomato. Dr. Weishi's. This is a really good one. I like Dr. Weishi's Gold, Dr. Weishi's Yellow. Big slicer, good tomato. Another one I like, this is the tomato of the year, Sartre Rousselet. This is a good one. Very large beefsteak. So it's a little later, but now's the time. If we're a little cold at night and you're a little farther inland, just protect them at night. Tomatoes can take a little colder weather, but if you go below 50s and you're in the 40s at night, just protect them. So that's important for tomatoes. And then peppers, you can do now as we go more into March, into closer to April, do your jalapenos, do Jimmy Nardello and shishitos and all the bell peppers and all the sweet peppers. But come in because again, Tomato Mania is still going and they have a good selection of peppers too, so come and talk to me. Artichokes. I'll do artichokes right now. Artichokes are in. Artichokes get big. So some perennial vegetables that get big, like asparagus and artichokes, I don't put them in a raised bed. I'll put them off in the garden somewhere. Just make sure they get good sun and good water. You can put them in a container, but artichokes have a tendency to take over. Asparagus too, they get big, so that's important with artichokes. This is a green globe, which is a good larger artichoke. I'm gonna come through with the seeds too, so I'm doing beans right now. A little French haricot called Ferrari. It's a bush bean, one of my favorites. I like Blue Lake. This is a bush one, but you could do the climbing or the bush. It's good. You can still do all your root crops like your carrots and your beets and your radishes, all of them. Just do them all right now. And cucumbers, do right now. This is a little Persian cucumber called Munchie. Can do the seeds. I can do Armenian cucumbers. Corn I wait until April. Wait till it warms up a little bit more. So corn I don't. But I could even do tomatoes. You can do tomatoes from seeds right now. You can do like this is Supremo, which is a sauce tomato. So good sauce tomato. All my zucchinis. Black Beauty is a regular zucchini. The round zucchini, like the little 8-ball, which is a French zucchini. I really do like these. Duranii are more like a Mexican squash, and I do like these. These are really good. They're very tender and they're very little, so you could do those. Some of the other squash, like the butternuts and the spaghetti, I wait a little longer. Wait till next month when it's warmer. The thing with this time of year, get going on it. Prep your beds too. It's very important for vegetables is to have a rich soil. So I'll go through with my compost. I'll use Malibu compost. That's a good one to work in the soil. If your beds aren't draining, add pumice. You know, I'll even use Harvest Supreme, which is a higher chicken manure based fertilizer. Work in some pumice, work in some potting soil. Get those beds to drain if they're staying real wet. That's important. And as we get warmer at night, the soil's gonna warm up. So prep those beds too. And I really like a lot of the down to earth fertilizers, and I'll talk more about those later. Don't be afraid to do the vegetables now. Now we're talking more about herbs. What to plant in March for herbs. March is a good month because we're transitioning out of winter and do all the herbs. I love cooking, so I plant a lot of herbs. So the basils are coming in. I love the sweet basil. This is just a standard sweet basil, so I love the sweet basil. Watch it for the snails and slugs a little bit. If you have a problem with it, use Sluggo. Sluggo is a good one, you know, the iron phosphate bait. And so Sluggo I use for the snails and slugs. So the sweet basil is good. This is one of my favorites, Prospera. I love Prospera. I love to make pesto out of this. This is the large leaf one. We're getting in the Thai basils. I love the Thai basil too for more of the soups. And so I think this is more cinnamon basil. I have the cinnamon. So we're getting in some really good basils. We've got lemon basil. There's a whole bunch of them. Sometimes I pinch them a lot so they stay more compact. And just watch for the insects, especially the snails and slugs. But basil, time to do it now. Lemon balm is good right now. I do lemon balm. This is just lemon balm. Put it in a container, put it in a pot, put it in the ground. It will spread a little bit, but lemon balm's good. I love parsley because I love putting it fresh into pasta. So this is like a triple curly parsley. It's really good. I got the Italian flat leaf parsley that's good, but I love to I use my fingers a lot to pinch stuff, and so I'll pinch off a branch, and then I don't want to use the stem, so a lot of times I'll just peel the top off, and then I'll sort of peel it, and I'll use a little pinch of it in my pasta. So I love fresh parsley is the best. So parsley, plant it now. Sometimes parsley doesn't like a hot area of the garden, so sometimes tuck it in a little area that gets some shade if you're in a hot area. So parsley's good right now. The flat leaf, the curly. We're doing rosemary now. Rosemary's good. You got to watch out with rosemary. Some of the varieties get pretty big. This is just an upright, but there's barbecue and Spice Island and Tuscan Blue, and just watch them because some of them can get big. But yeah, I love rosemary too for seasoning. The dill is coming in. Dill, you do gotta, it's a lot like cilantro. You do gotta replant it a lot. So dill, if it ever you trim it, and then if it dies out, plant more of it. Don't try to baby it along because sometimes it won't last long. So just like cilantro, if it starts bolting or finishing out, just take it out, replant it. And then you could do seeds too. That way you keep having a good supply of it if you use it a lot. I love thyme, but my two favorites of thyme is I like the English thyme and I like the variegated lemon. So the variegated lemon, I could put it in drinks, I could put it in tea, lemonade. It's a great one for flavoring. This is your traditional thyme. So I know a lot of people say French thyme is the traditional. No, English is the traditional. It's much more aromatic. I use my fingers and I pinch. I hold the top of the stem, and then I just pull it. I just pull it off, and then I use that in my seasoning. But I love to use it for more like potatoes and for roasting. But yeah, I love rosemary and then the thyme, and oh, I love it. It's great stuff. And I love the oregano too. So one of my favorite oreganos, now's the time to plant the oregano. We get Greek oregano, we get Italian oregano, we get hot and spicy. But I love the Mexican oregano. So this is my favorite for pizzas and for marinara sauce. So again, I'll pick off a nice big stem like that. I always hold it. I use my fingers a lot. I hold it and I strip it off. And then I can use that right on the pizzas, what I do when I make pizzas is I put the sauce down and then I put the fresh oregano right on the sauce. And then the cheese goes over it. So favorite for that. So, moving along with the herbs, your sages are good too. So like this is your garden gray. The narrow leaf sages are gonna have that aroma So if you're roasting, if you're making brown butter, so love the sages. The sages, there's Bergart, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's gold and purple and tricolor and all of them. But I do like some of the, like Chef's Choice and Garden Gray, and they have the skinnier leaf, but really stronger aroma. So love that. So, but now's the time, plant all your herbs and, you know, keep going into spring. So some of the flowers I talk about, March is a good month. So March is a good month because we're getting in all the perennials. We're coming out of the winter annuals, and March, and even going in more into spring, this is a time for perennials. But I'm going to first talk about some of the annuals. So some of my annuals I love for spring, I love the marigolds. So we're getting the French marigolds in. You got orange, you got yellow, you got burnt orange. So the French marigolds are really little, and then I get the African marigolds later. These little French marigolds, they're great in the garden because they bloom so much, and if you plant them around your tomatoes, they can help keep the hornworms and some of the caterpillars away, because they smell the scent of the marigolds and then they think the whole plant's a marigold. So good distractor for hornworms and some of the other caterpillars will attack your garden. But if annuals always will get a little root bound, so pull off the bottom of the root ball, and then what I do is I just butterfly the roots. I don't touch these side roots, see? I only take the bottom off because I want the new roots to come out of there. Then I plant it level. And I don't put them real close. I might put one here and one over there, and I just sort of spread them around. But I love the marigolds because they're such good rebloomers. Moving on with the other flowers, the Icelandic poppies. This is champagne bubbles. This is a great one to plant right now. This will go all the way into spring. So champagne bubbles. I do sweet alyssum. This is great to draw the bees in. So if you want better pollination on your fruit trees and on your cucumbers and your squash and your, like all your, bring these in because the bees really love the nectar out of the sweet alyssum. Coreopsis. I love we're starting to get in the yellow coreopsis now. This is like the grandiflora. Again, get some of these. This is more of a perennial and the other ones were more annuals. So this will come back, but plant these right now because we're moving into these. So there's a lot more stuff that's going to be coming in. But yeah, love the marigolds, love the petunias. And then now we're going to start seeing more of the perennials come in. So the perennials are great right now. So I'm seeing in like the cigar plant, which is a great plant for hummingbirds. So this is a cigar plant. Love using that. You got Gara. The pink Gara lehindimii. This is a good one. These will get tall. So the stalks on these will get sometimes 24 inches tall, but the butterflies love these. So that's one that I'm bringing in. I do love the little beach bum evolvulus. So this is a little dwarf evolvulus beach bum, great for blooming. You can put these in the ground, you can put them in containers, hanging baskets, but I love that blue flower. Armarias or sea thrifts. These are great in a rose garden. So you can pop these in a rose garden and these will bloom pretty much year round. They get the little short flowers that get 6 to 10 inches tall. One of my other flowers that I really love, and sometimes you don't see it as much, are the Swan River daisies. The Swan River daisies are the brachycombs. They come in like a pinkish color, a white, a lavender purple, and then more of this fuchsia color. But they're good for the butterflies too, but I love the brachycombs, but hardy little perennial too. Not a big plant, stay pretty small. So the brachycombs and all of these, we got in a new variety of geranium that's sort of cool. It's sort of like a pinky lavender, and it looks like one of those mixes where it's a mix between zonal geranium and ivy geranium, but oh, they're hardy. We planted some in our landscape, and man, look at the flower on that. But I think I forget the cultivar name, but man, it's a good variety. But so watch for these when you come in. Great perennial, great geranium, but they bloom so long. Another one that I like is, it's an old-fashioned flower. I love dianthus. I love how they just bloom and bloom, and if they're a good little perennial, and if they finish blooming, you just light trim them back, and they bloom a little longer than a carnation. So I do like some of the regular dianthus, like the Telstar mix is a great one. You got into the nemesias. I love nemesias. If they ever look like they're finishing their blooms, this is a great plant for containers or your rose garden, or even put it in with you put it for any flowers. They don't get big. There's pinks and purples and blues, but if they ever start finishing out their bloom, You just take and just light trim. And when you light trim, I'll show you something cool. So when you light trim these, see, I'm not going really hard, but I'm just trying to get rid of some of these old flowers that are almost done, right? Reason why I don't prune them hard, see all the new little flowers that are coming out? That's where people go wrong. They want to prune stuff back too hard. Don't prune them hard, because then you'll take all the next flowers off. So prune them a little bit, so this is your next wave of blooms. But yeah, this is called Premier Yummy Berry. So it's a good one. So you got some other, you got a blue, but I love Nemesis, and they have a light fragrance to them too. So clean them up, and if they're finishing blooming, trim them, but great little perennial. Love those. Another thing that I like to talk about is I love ornamental grasses, even though I don't talk about it that much, but we really get some cool, I like the clumping grasses. So like the blue moor grass is a great little clumper. They get that gray and that green, but so hardy, about 10 to 12 inches by 10 to 12 inches, but great clumping grass. Love the blue moor grass. This is a good variety from Native Sons. Native Sons is a really good grower up into the Central Coast near Rajo Grande. So I love their perennials. So Native Sons. Another one that I like is a native, and this is Carex praegracilis. This you can actually use as a lawn alternative. It will take sun to partial sun. You can mow it. It produces stolons, so it's a slow spreader, but really hardy. I've had these in shade and sun, and yeah, the Carexes are tough, you know, but this one is called Chazal, I think it's a funny, but this is Carex praegracilis. Good one to watch for if you ever have a little area and you want to go away from some of the grasses. This is a really adaptable native that you could use as a substitute for turf grass. So yeah, it's a good one. Another little perennials I like from Native Sons, this is hairy canary. It's a drought tolerant plant called Dorycinum. Dorycinums are really durable. They don't get that big, maybe a half a foot by a foot to 2 feet, but really little perennial. But love the gray, because sometimes it's just a good little filler plant. If you have a lot of bigger drought tolerant plants like proteas and some of the salvias, and you just want a little filler, these are great to put around a rock or just give that soften out the landscape. The type of millefolium, which is more of a ground cover yarrow, this you can use as a lawn replacement too. But Achillea yarrow, or this is island pink, that's a good little perennial too. That's pretty much it with the perennials. Now as for the maintenance end of it, so fertilizing and watching for insects, and I don't fertilize a lot, but I do feed in spring, you know, so this is very important. If you didn't feed last month, feed now. So I feed everything. I feed my roses, just the down-to-earth rose food. I love this fertilizer because it really is an organic fertilizer, but it has really good components in it, because this company seems like they don't cheap up and put a lot of filler in there. So even if you look at this, it has fishbone meal, good, alfalfa meal, rock phosphate, blood meal, feather meal, seaweed meal. So it has, your fish meal is your nitrogen, and alfalfa meal is your nitrogen, rock phosphate is more of your phosphorus, blood meal is nitrogen, feather nitrogen, and then seaweed meal is more of like a lot of natural growth hormones and some minerals. And so when you're looking at it, this has humic acid in it too, but I always like to explain what the makeup is of the fertilizers. And so when you look at 4, which is the first number, 4 is your nitrogen. That helps out the growth, and the plant just it gives it a little nutrients for growing. 8 is your phosphorus or your phosphoric acid. That's going to be like for your flowers and your fruits and that development, and it helps for roots too. Now 4 is your potassium, potassium. So potassium helps the plant go through stress. And stress in a plant might mean a lot of things. It might be heat stress, it might be water stress, but potassium is good. You don't need a lot of it, but usually most flowering plants like sort of what they call a low, high, low, which is lower nitrogen, higher phosphorus, lower potassium. But it's balanced. Some plants that don't flower, they want really like a high nitrogen, what they call a high, low, low. So, or a high, low, high, depending on if they're tropical. So that's one of the things with it. People always think, oh, I got to go high nitrogen, high nitrogen. No, as long as it's balanced, 4%, 5%, 6% is more than enough. Where some people think with the other fertilizers, oh, you have to have 20, you have to have 30. That's not really available to the plants when it breaks down, where when you get into the organics, that 4% is really available to it. So it's more soluble when you water it. So you always put it down and water good afterwards. So that's important. So this is good for roses and perennials and flowers, anything. Now with roses, I will add a little bit more Epsom salts and I'll work it in. I always water really good afterward. I like to use rakes, you know, I use the back of a rake and I like to work the fertilizer in. I do like to clean up the leaves so the fertilizer has good contact with the ground. So this one, good for flowers. Use it on everything. Use it on not just roses, every flower. So Bio Alive, I really like this one. I use this a lot on vegetables. It's not really high. It's only a 5-4-2, but it's balanced. So 5 nitrogen, 4 phosphorus, and 2 potassium. But the one thing I like about this that is really good is they trace mycorrhizae in this. So mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungus that helps roots take up more nutrients, and it sort of colonizes the roots, and it's sort of like a symbiotic relationship with the plant and with the roots. But I love mycorrhizae. So mycorrhizae will really help your soil and certain plants from just helping the plant take more nutrients. And I've used it on everything, but I do like this as a fertilizer. Use it on vegetables, use it on strawberries, use it on fruit trees, everything. But I do like this really for tomatoes, and a lot of people go more for the all-purpose, for the higher calcium. It is good if you are doing a lot of tomatoes in the garden. They'll deplete nutrients quick, so bump up your nutrients in your fertilizing and use some more calcium, like a fish bone or a bone meal or anything like that. That's important too. So that's a good one. Bio Live, I like that one. This is good for your fruit trees right here. So this one is more for your peaches, your plums, your nectarines, your apples, all your stone fruits. So all your stone fruits. This is just a 6-2-4. So a lot of with those you're going to feed in spring and summer and fall. So at least 3 to 4 times a year. Sometimes if the trees are younger and they're under 5 years old, I will feed about 4 or 5 times. So that's a big difference. Once they get more of their root establishment, then they will pull more nutrients from the ground if they're over 5-7 years. So that, you know, but that's for your stone fruits. And so this is for all of your citrus. And so what's the difference between the fruit tree fertilizer and the citrus fertilizer? Citrus like more minerals and a little higher nitrogen, where stone fruits don't really need the minerals. So this is more of a 6-3-3. So it's a little higher in nitrogen, but mainly this has zinc in it, it has iron in it, it has sulfur, calcium, magnesium. So it's a little bit more on the minerals, and you can use this for avocados too. So same fertilizer for avocados and for citrus. So this is for all your lemons, your limes, your kumquats, your mandarins, your blood oranges, your caracaras, all of them. Feeding fruit trees in general, you don't want to go right against the trunk. So if the trunk's here and the branches and the canopies out here, you always go halfway out to the canopy. So that's why I always work all your fertilizer around and water good afterwards so it breaks down. So that's with all the fertilizers. Now going into like insects and different issues, I'm not a heavy sprayer, so I don't really spray a lot unless I see an issue. So like with aphids, we're going into spring, aphids are going to be active. I use an organic soap spray. So I like the concentrate and I like the safer. Safer is a little bit more of a concentrate, so I'll put like a tablespoon or a capful in a big spray bottle, shake it up. But this works good for aphids and even for mites. And what I do with this is I'll spray it really good. I'll leave it on for 5 minutes and I'll wash it off. I always wash this off, because one thing this does good is it helps get rid of the aphids, and it helps get rid of if there's a lot of sooty mold on there. So it's a good leaf cleaner too for your houseplants. So I use the safer insecticidal soap. Difference between this and regular soap is this doesn't have any alcohol or degreasers. So this soap is made for plants. So a lot of people say, oh, I can use Dawn, I can use this soap. that's going to dry out and sometimes burn the plants. You know, if it dries out your hands, it's going to dry out the plant. So use your soaps. The fatty acid soaps like this are for plants. So Safer, there's one by Captain Jack. So love the soap, the concentrate. This year, we've had a lot of rain coming out of winter. And so if the snails and slugs are really bad, Sluggo. And Sluggo is just a pelletized form of slug bait. This is an iron phosphate. So the base of this is iron. It will just break down to iron. So it's safe for your pets, safe for your animals, and you can use it around your fruit trees and your vegetable garden. So you sprinkle it a little bit where you're seeing the most damage, and this is a really good source for the slugs. And so this is it's an organic slug bait. It's not methaldehyde based, so that's the difference. Is if you get into the other ones, don't use them around your vegetables or your fruit trees because they'll take it up. So, but I like the Sluggo. I like to put it down and sometimes I'll water it and it will create like a little puddle. And when the snails and slugs cross through it, it's toxic to them, but not anything else. And it just breaks down iron in your garden. So a good one. Difference between the two, the Sluggo regular and the Sluggo Plus. Plus will work more for like the pill bugs and the earwigs. So I have a really bad problem with pill bugs in my garden, and they chew on my seedlings and they chew on everything, leaves, basil, everything. I like the Plus. So if they're bad, put little amounts, and again, very effective for the slugs and the snails. Going into maintenance still with insecticides, don't forget to use your hydrangea bluing to get your hydrangeas blue. So I sprinkle a little bit of this around the plant and I water it in. Don't get it on the concrete because it will etch through your concrete. Sweep it off. But this will help keep your hydrangeas blue. So I'll put a little bit down now, a little bit next month, a little bit. So I always go all the way into summer, just a little bit each month. So yeah, this is a variety of pelletized sulfur that sort of melts, and it's an acidifier because our pH in our water brings the pH up higher, but you want to lower it if you want blue hydrangeas. Now, it won't change, it will change it from pink to blue, but remember, white hydrangeas won't change the color. They're always going to be white. So if it's a pink variety, you can get it to change to more blue. So that's using the hydrangea bluing. And moving on, this is a good all-purpose for leaf chewing insects. This is Captain Jack's. This is spinosad base. And so again, if I have a really bad problem with caterpillars, I spot spray. There's another one that that's called BT that's effective, but I don't spray the whole yard. I don't get into that. So I really spot spray. That's why I'm using a bottle, and I just I look at the problem. If I have an issue, like this will work for the rose slugs on your roses. It will work for caterpillars on your tomatoes, but this is a good one to use. But I just really spot spray. This is a good one too for fungal problems. When we come out of a wet winter with the rains we've had, this is sulfur. Sulfur is very effective as a fungicide. So with powdery mildew and rust, and so good for the roses, even good for the hydrangeas, but I do like the 3-in-1. And then this has a little soap in it too, so it helps break down the mildew, but this is a good one too for spraying as a fungicide. I'm answering some of you guys' questions from Instagram. Okay, you guys can always ask me questions there and then we'll answer them. Okay, so they're asking, how do you prepare your soil for dahlia bulbs? So dahlias are rhizomes, and so you want to loosen out the soil, but I always watch with heavy clay, because if the soil's heavier, clay is going to be really compacted and keep them too wet. With a rhizome like that, it's going to keep it too wet so it could rot them out. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use like a planting mix that has a little sand in it, and I'll work it in the soil and loosen it up, and then I'll usually add a little bit of pumice. Another way to do it that's really easy is just get a bag of cactus mix and mix in a little compost, and then do a lot of cactus to help break up that clay. The best time to plant dahlias is March. So coming into March, they're asking with best time to plant tuber roses is spring, March and April, because they'll bloom in summer. Sometimes they can be a little hard to get a hold of, but yeah, now's the time to plant them. Asking, when is the frost over? Well, it really depends on where you live and where you're at, because sometimes some areas farther inland and even up into the mountains, they can have a late frost date all the way into like sometimes April, May. So around the coastal areas, we don't really get a lot of frost, and even farther inland, but it really depends on, to check with your local cooperative extension agency. They usually will tell you when your last frost date is, but it varies depending on where you're at, you know? So yeah, it depends on where you're at. Okay, what's a foolproof tomato? So I look at it, there's so many different variety categories of tomatoes. So what I've always found with tomatoes, some of the most hardiest and more durable are your smaller fruit tomatoes. And so the smaller fruit, like all the cherries, like the sun gold cherries, the chocolate cherries, even the little tomatoes like the Czechoslovakian heirloom Stupici. So some of the most foolproof tomatoes are some of your littler tomatoes, and that are quicker maturing too, because there's San Francisco fog and there's some hybrids and there's so many, but really smaller tomatoes. Okay, so they're asking, how do I trim citrus trees? Well, since citrus produce off a lot of their new growth, you don't want to prune them that much. But what I do in January, I'll thin them out a little bit, but I don't like to shape them because they produce off of their new growth. And if you trim them too much, you're not going to get any fruit. So it's better to thin them out, so then you'll have less issues with whitefly and with woolly aphids and all that. So I tend to thin out, but I don't really prune hard or trim that much because it can affect the fruit. They're asking about their roses not thriving. Well, it's still been cold at night. They're going to be, they're going to start really taking off now that we're warming up in the day. And as we warm up more at night, they're going to really take off. So really with temperatures, roses like it warmer. Like roses love it when it's 75, 80 degrees in the day and at least 55 at night. We're still in the 40s and they're going to be slow, and watch, like fertilize them. Make sure they're getting watered, but not too much. Don't overwater. Make sure they're adequate water, and just be patient for as we get warmer. They're asking best hydrangeas for Southern California. Like all the hydrangeas are really good. Like I've trialed so many varieties and I've planted so many of them. Sometimes hydrangeas take a little while to get established, but see, I do like a lot of the cultivars from Monrovia. Some of the big mophead types. So the hydrangea macrophyllus, some of the big ones like the Seaside Serenade, you have a ton of them. The oak leaves are pretty good, but I do like, I do the French lace caps too, but I think some of the best hydrangeas for this area are just your bigger varieties. You got white, you got blue, like there, but I do like some of the Monrovia, the Seaside Serenade. That's a good series of different colors in that. They're asking what's the best fuchsia. So there's a lot of different varieties of fuchsias. There's so many really good varieties. Most of them, some are trailing types that like to be in hanging baskets. And then there's some upright types that they prefer really well-drained soil. So in the ground, they can be sort of touchy. So gosh, I mean, I love Voodoo. It's more of an upright variety. I like Voodoo. There's Winston Churchill. There's swing time. There's so many. It's hard to, there's a lot of dwarfs too, but most of the hybrid fuchsias like to be in containers. They don't want to be, they want good drainage. They like a lot of water, so that's important with them. Fertilizing them, but there are fuchsias for the ground, like more of the Gardenmeisters that are hardy, but most of the hybrid fuchsias are happier in hanging baskets or containers with well-drained soil. Question is, what's my favorite tomato? This is a hard one. This is a very hard one. I have so many favorites. I like cherries. I like all of them. But I don't know. I have like this fondness for pink Berkeley tie-dye. I don't know why, because I like Cherokee Purple, and I like Brandy Boy, and I like the Black Crim, and I like Chocolate Sprinkles. But I don't know. I love pink Berkeley tie-dye because it's a littler tomato. It's more of a purple black, and it just has a sweet flavor. So that's my favorite. I love pink Berkeley tie-dye. They're asking if it's too early to plant tomatoes in February, March. So this is the thing. As we go more into March, I always thought a long time ago, and this is a serious thing that, because I've been growing tomatoes for years, I always used to wait really a long time, and then I wouldn't get my fruit until really late. we start coming out of winter into spring, and as we get into 50s at night, tomatoes can take colder weather, nighttime temperatures. So the cold doesn't really bother them. If you're farther inland and you're still dipping them in the 40s, take a piece of clear plastic and cover them at night. Make a little greenhouse. But it doesn't bother me to plant close to 50, 55, you're fine. I don't like to plant when we have heavy rains. You know, that's a big thing. So if we're not getting a lot of rain, and you're planting and we're drier, it's fine, you know. But I always get into planting in like late April and almost May, and then I don't get my harvest until like August and sometimes September. So I do like planting a little earlier because I found that just the plants take off, because April usually always starts warming up, but just watch, if you're 50, 55 at night, you're fine.